Things are starting to get tense between LeBron James and NBA Commissioner Adam Silver after Silver publicly urged LeBron to make a decision on his future. The message didn't sit well with LeBron's camp. What happened next is revealing a growing rift between the two. Here's what's happening. Let's set the stage. It's July. Free agency has been rolling for nearly a month, and LeBron James, 41 years old, four-time MVP, coming off announcing he won't return to the Lakers, still hasn't told anyone where he's playing next season. Not the Cavaliers, not the Heat, not the Warriors, nobody. And then Adam Silver, at the CNBC Sport X Boardroom Game Plan Summit in New York, sat down with Andrew Ross Sorkin and said the quiet part out loud. The NBA has not finalized its 2026-27 schedule because James's free agency decision still is unresolved, and his eventual destination will shape everything from opening week to Christmas Day. Silver put it plainly, we have to finish up the schedule, and where LeBron plays will affect the schedule. Silver told CNBC's Andrew Ross Sorkin at the CNBC Sport X Boardroom Game Plan Summit in New York. So I would like him to make his announcement already so we can finish the schedule, because as you might imagine, the teams are calling us, the networks are calling us, and everybody wants to lock in the schedule. Sounds harmless on paper, a commissioner venting about logistics, but this is the part where it gets interesting because according to people close to the situation, LeBron's side heard it differently. Cleveland radio host Andy Baskin dropped a bombshell on 92.3 The Fan. He said he'd been told by a source that it seems as if he was close, but after Adam Silver's comments about him needing to rush to make a decision, they decided to hold back. Baskin's exact words, "Here's what I was told yesterday by a reliable source. Last week, LeBron's crew was probably ready to make an announcement. Irritated was the word I was told by the commissioner pushing them. So they decided to hold back," Baskin said on 92.3 The Fan. Think about what that means. A guy who's been the most powerful voice in the league for 2 decades, hearing his boss go public and basically say, "Hurry up." And instead of speeding up, the whole camp slammed the brakes, on purpose. Baskin didn't stop there either. He laid out the timing, saying LeBron's crew was probably ready to make an announcement, especially because they were in New York, pointing out the eyes of the sports world were already on that city because of the World Cup. And then, in his telling, Silver's comments changed the whole calculus. People were suddenly telling LeBron what to do, on his own decision, on his own timeline. Now here's where a second voice enters the chat. Draymond Green, no stranger to LeBron, having battled him for over a decade, and grown close to him off the court since, heard about Silver's comments and didn't hold back on his own show. Green said flatly that pressure like that wasn't going to work on his friend. Adam saying that is not going to speed up LeBron's decision at all. Green said on the Draymond Green show, "If I know Bron well, if anything, it may slow his decision down a little more, because that's just how Bron is." That's not a throwaway line. That's a guy who's known LeBron for 14 years, basically confirming, yeah, this backfired. And Green wasn't done. He doubled down later in the same podcast, saying he loved Silver, but that the comment definitely didn't speed anything up, and that he could assure people of that. So now you've got the commissioner of the league publicly nudging the biggest star in its history, and 2 separate sources from 2 totally different corners of the NBA universe, both saying the same thing. It didn't land well. It backfired. And the delay might be intentional now. That's the tension. That's what's brewing here. And it's about to get a third voice, one even closer to LeBron than Draymond Green, his own agent. If Draymond Green speaking up was notable, this next part is the one that really turned heads. Rich Paul, LeBron's agent, business partner, and one of his closest friends since they were teenagers in Akron, decided he wasn't going to let Silver's comments sit unanswered. Paul appeared on his own podcast, Game Over, co-hosted with Max Kellerman, in an episode literally titled, "What's the Rush for LeBron?" And when Kellerman played him the clip of Silver talking about the schedule being stuck, Paul didn't dodge it. He confirmed he'd already spoken to the commissioner directly. "I saw Adam Silver in New York, and we discussed it. And like I said, it's still his, LeBron's choice. So if he doesn't really know, you can't rush it. When he makes his choice, he'll make it," Paul said. Read that again. That's not a polite non-answer. That's an agent going on record on his own show telling the commissioner of the NBA, indirectly but unmistakably, to back off. And it didn't stop there. Days later on the Pat McAfee show, Paul kept the same message going, this time even more directly acknowledging he understood why the league wanted an answer, but wasn't budging an inch. But it's a very conflicting thing, because this is a very important choice for him, and you cannot rush it, Paul said. "I think he's earned the right not to be rushed. He followed it with a simple ask for patience for LeBron and for himself. That phrase, "he's earned the right," is doing a lot of work. This isn't some rookie navigating his first max contract. This is a guy entering a 24th season, still one of the league's biggest draws, and his own representation is essentially saying, the normal rules about hurrying up for scheduling purposes don't apply here. Paul went further in a separate podcast appearance, getting visibly frustrated with the entire ecosystem of speculation swirling around the decision. He pushed back on the idea that any of it was for show. "I'll say it again, none of these people know anything. Nobody knows nothing. And I say that respectfully because we haven't made it to where anybody knows anything. It's important for people to understand that we're not making this about attention and a spectacle." He has a business choice to make. "Why is it that an athlete has to rush a choice?" Paul said. That question, why does an athlete have to rush a choice, is basically Paul's entire thesis here, and it's aimed squarely at the framing Silver put out into the world, where Silver's comments were about logistics, schedules, TV partners, opening night. Paul's response reframed the entire conversation around leverage. Whose timeline actually matters here? Paul even name-checked specifics to show LeBron's side had already done its due diligence, mentioning that all the calls had been made, all the information gathered, and that teams didn't need to go above and beyond waiting on a green light. He'd apparently even fielded calls from other agents and executives asking if there was anything more they should be doing, and his answer, according to his own account, was simply no. So by this point, 3 separate voices, a Cleveland radio insider citing a source close to camp, a former rival turned close friend in Draymond Green, and LeBron's own agent have all landed on a similar note. Silver's comments weren't just noise, they struck something, and the response wasn't silence. It was pushback, publicly, repeatedly, from multiple directions. Which raises the obvious question: what does Silver actually gain from pressuring the single most powerful player in the league when everyone around that player is telling him it won't work? To understand why Silver felt compelled to say anything at all, you have to understand just how much of the NBA calendar bends around LeBron James specifically. This isn't hyperbole from a radio host. This is Silver's own math. James has played in the league's marquee Christmas Day game a record 20 times, including 19 consecutive seasons, a streak the NBA and its broadcast partners clearly expect to continue no matter where he signs. 20 appearances, 19 straight years. That's not a player who shows up on national TV occasionally. That's a fixture the entire broadcast calendar has been built around for 2 decades. And the stakes of not knowing his address are real. The league's schedule typically releases in mid-August, meaning Silver's comments still leave roughly a month before any real deadline pressure. But the uncertainty already has front offices and networks anxious. Networks don't just want LeBron on TV. They need to know which market, which time zone, which rival, before they can lock in production plans, ad sales, and travel logistics for an entire season. Rich Paul actually gave some insight into just how much one decision could reshape a franchise's entire broadcast footprint. Speaking about a potential Warriors move, Paul estimated a reunion pairing LeBron with Stephen Curry could push Golden State towards something like 40 nationally televised games in a single season. That's the kind of number that makes a scheduling department's head spin, because it's not just about slotting one game. It's about rebuilding half a network's fall and winter primetime lineup around wherever he lands. Silver even tipped his hand on what he personally thought would make James happiest in his next stop, floating the idea that playing again for a coach like Steve Kerr, who led James on the Olympic team, could be part of the appeal. That's a commissioner who isn't just managing logistics anymore. He's basically doing armchair speculation about a superstar's next chapter, in public, on camera. And that's exactly the tension Draymond Green zeroed in on. It wasn't just that Silver wanted an answer. It was that a sitting commissioner had never really talked this way before. Green made that point himself, saying you've simply never heard commissioners publicly frame it like that, tying a single player's decision directly to the operational needs of the league. Green took that thought somewhere pointed. He suggested that if he were one of the league's younger players listening to Silver's comments, the takeaway wouldn't be sympathy for the scheduling department. It'd be about leverage. He specifically raised the idea that the players' union should be paying attention to just how much power one player's decision can hold over the entire operation of the league. That's a heavier claim than it sounds. Green wasn't just defending his friend, he was pointing out that Silver's own words had accidentally handed the union a talking point about just how outsized the influence of top-tier stars has become over league operations. Meanwhile, the free agency freeze wasn't just affecting LeBron's own decision, it was locking up an entire tier of the market. The LeBron James effect has taken the entire NBA by storm, as the next wave of free agents has yet to sign, while waiting to see what the four-time NBA champion decides. Teams chasing other targets were reportedly holding roster spots open, waiting to see which dominoes fell first. Executives calling around for depth pieces were getting told, essentially to wait. And that's the part that made Silver's comments land as more than just a passing gripe. He wasn't only speaking for himself, he was speaking, whether he meant to or not, for every network executive, every rival front office, and every other free agent stuck in limbo behind the weight. Which is why, when Paul and Green both suggested the pressure could backfire, it wasn't just a friend defending a friend. It was a signal that even a small comment from the very top of the league can ripple across dozens of business decisions it was never meant to touch. While all this tension was playing out between Silver's podium comments and LeBron's inner circle firing back, the rest of the NBA world was left simply guessing, and it turned into something close to a running joke around the league. In the nearly 3 weeks since he first announced that he won't be returning to the Lakers, the 41-year-old has consistently been linked to the Cavaliers, Warriors, Heat, and 76ers, but has said very little to confirm any of it. 4 separate franchises, 4 separate storylines, and LeBron himself giving almost nothing away publicly. ESPN's Adam Schefter even waded into the rumor mill, relaying a tip he'd apparently received directly. He described getting a text that read, in essence, that LeBron was heading to the Heat and that people were telling him to check it out. Schefter framed it with the classic reporter's shrug, where there's smoke, there's fire, but stopped short of confirming anything outright. Meanwhile, Shams Charania offered his own version of the inside picture, painting a scene where the field had narrowed to 5 real finalists: Cleveland, Miami, Golden State, Philadelphia, and Minnesota, with LeBron privately making clear he wanted a situation where he could compete for a championship and find the right culture around him. And Stephen A. Smith, never one to miss a moment, took a shot of his own at just how drawn out the whole saga had become, joking that the Lakers legend's decision process had turned into something you could practically pitch as its own TV show. That's the environment Rich Paul was operating in when he pushed back on Silver. A swirl of leaks, tips, and jokes, with virtually every insider racing to be the one who broke the actual news first. Virtually every NBA insider, journalist, and reporter is hoping they'll be the one to break the LeBron James news. They're hoping to be the one to announce where he'll suit up to play during the 2026-27 season. Paul's response to all of it wasn't just aimed at Silver. It was aimed at the entire ecosystem of speculation. He insisted, more than once, that none of the noise reflected anything close to the actual truth of where things stood, saying flatly that nobody making these guesses actually knew anything. Through all of this, LeBron himself gave the public exactly one crumb, sharing a stage with Indiana's Tyrese Halliburton during a live taping of his own podcast at Fanatics Fest. LeBron told the crowd, "I won't hold you guys up too much longer," a comment that read as both a tease and a small olive branch to a league desperately waiting on him. But even that line didn't slow the rumor cycle down. If anything, it added fuel, with every insider trying to parse whether or not too much longer meant days or weeks. And in the background, Silver's original comments kept getting replayed, dissected, and reacted to by more and more voices around the league. Because here's the thing about a story like this. Once the commissioner himself says the schedule's stuck, every single insider, agent, and analyst suddenly has a stake in speculating about the why. It stopped being just a free agency story. It became a story about power. Who has it? Who's allowed to wield it? And what happens when the wrong person tries to rush the guy who actually holds it? And that tension between the league's institutional need for order and one player's total control over his own timeline is exactly what was still unresolved as the calendar kept ticking toward August. So where does all of this actually leave things between LeBron James and Adam Silver? The two men aren't feuding in any traditional sense. There's no history of this being personal between them the way, say, an owner dispute might play out. In fact, this isn't even the first time their names have been tied together. During a tense NBA moment, years earlier, LeBron had pressed Silver directly during a closed-door meeting over how the league would handle discipline tied to the Hong Kong controversy involving Daryl Morey, and long before that, LeBron had publicly backed Silver's handling of the Donald Sterling situation. There's a long relationship here, built on mutual respect, even through disagreement. But this moment, this summer, is different. It's not about league discipline or outside controversy. It's about who controls the clock. Silver, doing his job, tried to nudge the timeline forward for the sake of television partners, ticket sales, and opening night logistics. And LeBron's camp, through Baskin's sourcing, through Draymond Green's read, on his friend's psychology, and through Rich Paul's repeated on-record pushback, made it clear the nudge wasn't welcome. Green's closing thought on his own podcast might be the most telling summary of where things actually stand. He said he still expected the decision to come sooner rather than later, but insisted, without hesitation, that Silver's comments hadn't helped speed anything up. That's about as clean a verdict as you'll get from someone standing right in the middle of it, friendly with both sides. And Paul's parting message, delivered across multiple podcasts and interviews, in the same stretch, kept circling back to the same core idea. That patience wasn't a courtesy being requested. It was something LeBron had already earned through 2 decades of being the sport's biggest draw. Whether or not the league agreed with that premise didn't really matter. Paul made clear the decision would come on LeBron's terms. Full stop. What's left unresolved is the practical fallout. Networks still don't have their opening week locked. Front offices chasing secondary free agents are still sitting on open roster spots, waiting for James to move first so the rest of the market can follow. And somewhere in a league office, scheduling staff are presumably still holding open slots for Christmas Day, hoping the streak of appearances doesn't need to be reworked at the last minute. For now, the picture is this: a commissioner who said the quiet part out loud, an agent who answered him just as directly, a longtime rival turned friend who read the room correctly, and a superstar who, according to everyone around him, is going to make this decision exactly when he's ready. Pressure or no pressure. Whatever team ends up calling a press conference to introduce him, one thing seems clear from every voice close to this story: nobody rushed LeBron James into it. Report: LeBron James irritated with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, Yahoo Sports. NBA rumors. Cleveland radio host claims LeBron James's camp got irritated by Adam Silver urging decision. Yahoo Sports. LeBron James irritated after Adam Silver plea. Basketball forever. An NBA schedule on hold for LeBron James. Adam Silver states, NBC Sports Bay Area. Adam Silver. LeBron James free agency delaying NBA schedule. Front Office Sports. Rich Paul sends strong response to Adam Silver on LeBron James decision. Heavy.com. Ex-Laker LeBron James reportedly irritated by NBA's Adam Silver comment. Delayed decision. Yahoo Sports. Did Adam Silver's remarks delay LeBron James's free agency choice? Yahoo Sports. That's just how Bron is. Draymond Green predicts LeBron James' reaction. Pro Football Network. Adam Silver pushing LeBron James into free agency decision will backfire. Draymond Green. Yahoo Sports. Draymond Green calls out Adam Silver for rushing LeBron. Yahoo Sports. Draymond Green anticipates LeBron James could delay his decision after Adam Silver's remarks. Yardbarker. Ex-Lakers superstar LeBron James's agent Rich Paul met with Adam Silver about not rushing decision. Yahoo Sports. Warriors receive clear message from Rich Paul on LeBron James' decision. Heavy.com. Agent Rich Paul says LeBron James won't be rushed on NBA free agency decision despite outside pressure. Fox News. LeBron James grilled Adam Silver on whether Rockets GM would be disciplined over Hong Kong tweet. Report Fox News. Amid boycott talk, LeBron James reaffirms support for Adam Silver on Sterling matter. Fox News.